Hello, 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 everybody. Come on in the room. Come on in the room. As I always say, best friends, come one, come all, come big, come small. I don't know why I started saying that. I don't know how that became a part of what I did. Hey, thank you for all the hearts. I see you guys coming in on different platforms. Thank you so much for all the hearts. Listen, for those of you guys who have never been with me before, you have no idea who I am or where you found yourself. Baby, I am Candy Sincerity Johnson. I do a whole host of things, but one of the things that I have become known for in this season of my life is I have become known for my transparency. I have become known for just documenting my journey post trauma and all of the ups and downs and crazy twists and turns that come along with it. Tonight's conversation is no different, baby. So, with a cold, with a head cold, sinus cold, whatever's going on with me, nasally and all, baby, we finna have a conversation. We gonna get through it together. So, if I have to step off camera, if I gotta blow my nose, if I gotta wipe my eyes, if I gotta do something weird or nasty, y'all bear with me, best friends, because y'all know, listen, there is no pause, rewind, fast forward, or any of that when you live. So that's who I am. I also have momentarily, or for a second, I have somebody in the background.
Hi, best friend.
So Miss Sean is in the background. Sean is here. She's not going to stay for the conversation, but Sean is here because she has an announcement as it relates to or not SJ, but CSJ. Sean has a CSJ announcement. Hey, best friend. Hey, LaShawn. Hey, all of the best friends on all of the different devices. I see some friends over here on the gram as well. Let me see, Miss Pam. Is it Pammy Harvin? Moving on. I see Nikisha. I see Annie. I see a host of friends over there. I see some best friends over here in the Facebook section as well. Did you want to say hi to some of the best friends over there?
Sure.
Because I can't see when it's pinned.
Hey, Miss Crystal. Hey, Cherie, Miss Debbie, Miss Demetra, Bobby, Shaquanda, Lisa, Patricia, Deona, Miss Monica, Shelly, Jorinda, and the list goes on. Hello to everybody.
Hi, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Shout out to all of our replay community as well across all platforms. Um, Sean had an announcement.
Yes.
She elected not to be on camera for her announcement.
Yeah, because girl, I look a fool. Okay, so listen, best friends, I wanted to give an announcement. I want to give an update regarding pending orders with the books. Okay, I know several of you guys have been waiting a very lengthy period of time. I would say of outside of our control. We don't like the fact that you have been waiting, but we have been working diligently behind the scenes to try to rectify the situation. First of all, we apologize for the delay.
Yes.
We have not forgotten about you, which is why last week, if you have a pending order that included Moments of Resurrection, we sent you the digital version so that you could begin to read, because we're like, you already paid for the story. You should be able to know what the story is so you can continue to follow the journey present day. However, the reason why we have not shipped is because we're still waiting on the shipment that includes Moments of Redemption. We ordered them at the same time. For whatever reason, Resurrection comes, it seems like, in an hour, and Redemption has been taking forever. It's outside of our control. That still does not excuse us from our responsibility. So we apologize to you for that. Because of that, what we have also put in the works, because we also want to make sure that we get you guys your stuff, is we've also been in contact with the person who created the digital version of Moments of Resurrection to also go ahead and get a digital version of Moments of Redemption. You will not, come on, device. Hold on one second, best friends. I want to make sure everybody hears what I'm saying and we don't have to repeat it. Okay, there we go. I'll give it a couple of seconds. So we have been in the works to get a digital version of Moments of Redemption. Now, this is not something that is going to be offered. It's not going to be sold. It's not going to always be offered. We're doing this because of the delay. So once we get the digital version of Moments of Redemption, we're also going to go back through the pending orders and then send everybody who's waiting for Moments of Redemption the digital version. So that way you would have had the opportunity to really read both books before you even get your physical copies, okay? I will give you an update. We have an estimated delivery date of this Friday, which is September 1st. Because I don't like to try to pussyfoot and sugarcoat and dance around the reality of it is. I'd rather give you facts so that you can know and understand what we're working with. So what that means is that this weekend we're going to be working diligently.
Yes. To get everybody
Even through the weekend to go ahead and process those pending orders and get them out.
Yes.
Okay. So again, we apologize for the delay. It was outside of our control, but it still does not absolve us of our responsibility. We take this very seriously. Customer service is one of our number one priorities, and we apologize for that. So probably within the next 24 to 48 hours, we should be able to start sending out the digital version of Moments of Redemption to those who are pending an order. For those that just recently placed orders for Moments of Resurrection, you haven't received a digital version yet, but I'm going to go through and make sure that everybody received digital versions of those books that you ordered. Okay?
Yes.
Any questions?
If you guys have any questions, sometimes the inbox becomes overwhelming when we have a lot coming in at the same time. And then also sometimes the inbox messages get filtered when we have an influx of, a certain amount per day, and then there's this spike, right? So instead of us trying to manage the inbox, because it can become a lot, if you have any questions, if you're one of the people that was impacted as it relates to your bundle order, you can put them in the comments, or for privacy, you always have the option of emailing as well, okay? It's easier for us to manage email, and it's easier for us to manage comments, if that makes sense.
Right. So even if you watch this as a replay, please feel free to put your questions. We're real big on reading the comments even after the fact. So even if you have a question, like Handy said, you can go to the website and send an email. You can respond to your email confirmation. I believe it comes to the email, or you can just put it here in the comments, and we will make sure that we address those. But just know that we are working to not only get you a digital version of Moments of Redemption, just like we did with Moments of Resurrection, but this weekend we'll be working diligently to get these orders out.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I don't see any questions. So baby, listen, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and tiptoe out of the way, because baby, this conversation ain't for me. Okay. Goodbye. I will be packing extra orders.
You'll be doing what?
Packing SJ orders.
Sean said she's packing SJ orders. So shout out to everybody who's been ordering from SJ. So I wanted to title the video, what did I title the video, best friends? I think it was my conversation with Tamia. Now, this is the thing, best friends, because I'm live on all three devices, I have no way of seeing comments. As a matter of fact, Sean, can you bring your laptop back? Because I can't see comments. Okay. Luckily, I was able to catch her, because I'm like, I literally can't see comments. Thank you. Because I'm like, I can't. Everything is pinned.
And then just go there.
Okay.
And then what you can, oh, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah. They said,
Okay. So okay, best friends, perfect. So I titled the video, "Let's Unpack This Conversation with Tamia." Let's unpack the conversation with Tamia. So for those of you guys who have been following my journey, you know that I went live. I believe it was last Wednesday or Thursday. I went live and I did a video from a restaurant, and I titled that video "A Quick Lunch Date." And many of you joined me on that video. I titled the video "A Quick Lunch Date," and I was sitting at a restaurant, and I had just left my doctor's appointment, and I was having a conversation with all of the best friends about the results of my doctor's appointment. I was celebrating the fact that my heart is good, and I told you guys, I shared with you guys during that conversation that I felt like, and the doctor felt like, it could be GI related. And it was in the midst of that conversation that I shared with you guys. I said, hey, can I have a transparent moment? And you guys were like, yeah. And I shared with you guys, I said, Tamia has been very, very heavy on my heart. And I said, not only has she been heavy on my heart, she's been very heavy on my mind. And I went into some details on that video. If you guys were on that video, you seen the replay or something like that, let me know in the comments. I'm not just talking to myself, that you remember that conversation. Excuse me. If you guys remember that conversation from last week, let me know that you guys remember that conversation. Okay? I'm looking for some feedback in the comments. I'm looking on all three devices. It looks like the video might be doing a little buffering or whatever it's doing. If you guys can hear me fine and everything, let me know so I know I'm not talking to myself, okay? So I'm getting thumbs up. So some people remember that conversation. Now, with that being said, one of the things that you guys have to remember is Tamia and I, which we could call her T. T and I have a lot of mutual friends, right? We went to college together. There's a lot of overlap there. So because we have a lot of mutual friends, there were friends that know both of us that saw that video as well, right? And a lot of people, because we went to school together, a lot of people supported the book. A lot of people know Sean, they know her, they know me, they know everybody, right? And so it was no mystery to put two and two together. And so a lot of our friends know about the book. Some of them were in the book, you know, whatever the case may be, right? And so it was because of all of the overlap and the mutual friends that we have. When I reached out to her, she had already saw that video. Okay? So I made the decision after you and I talked, to reach out to her. And so when I reached out to her, I was like, hey, you know, how's everything going? You've been real heavy on my mind. I hope everything is well. And so I could hear that she was moving around. And so remember, best friends, I told you guys on that video, I said, hey, a little birdie put in my ear that she was on vacation and that she was taking a trip. She wanted to get away. She wanted to de-stress, whatever, and that she was on a trip. Remember, I told you guys that on that video. So when I called her, she was at the airport and she was in the process of flying home. And so you know how it is when you're traveling. You have a little bit of time before you get on your flight. You don't be, you know, most people are not rushing to the gate trying to hurry up and get on the plane. And so she had a little bit of time. And so it was because she had a little bit of time, we sat and we talked. So it was during that conversation that it came out. Number one, she had already seen the video. Number two, she did give me an update on how she was doing. She said, well, if I could be honest, she said, some days I'm up, some days I'm down. It just kind of depends on the day. And so it was during the course of the conversation that she shared with me that there were some things that I said on that video that didn't sit well with her, right? She shared with me during that conversation, that me going into so many details with her being a very private person, with this being very fresh for her, and with there being so many different moving parts, that it made her uncomfortable and uneasy that I shared the level of details with you guys that I did as it relates to everything that's going on. And so I sat and I listened. And as I sat and I listened, I realized that I had made a mistake. But you guys know, just like she knows, it was not my intention to do that, right? But one of the things that I appreciate about the relationship that we've always had is, right, wrong, or indifferent, we've always been a mirror in each other's faces. And so I just sat with everything that she said. And she wasn't upset. She wasn't mad. It wasn't that kind of conversation. But she was like, hey, you know, like, for a couple of friends to reach out and say, hey, you know, Candy was talking about you on the video. And when the bone was carried back, it wasn't in a bad way, right? It wasn't a bad thing. It was like, hey, you know, did you see Candy's video? Candy was talking about you. Check out the video if you haven't seen it, this and that. And so she popped on the video not knowing what to expect on the replay, and then think about it from her perspective, right? It wasn't just a recap of maybe some of the highlights of our relationship. It wasn't just, you know, oh, me telling a funny story about something that happened with us. It was me sharing one of the most personal, intimate moments that she's ever experienced in her life, right? And so I didn't do it from a malicious place. She was okay with the fact of you guys knowing that her parents passed away, but it was the details, right? It was the details. And so I think for me, knowing that I hurt her really bothered me. So I apologized to her, and it was a smooth conversation. But it was during that conversation that not only did we talk about that, and she accepted my apology. We didn't stay on that particular subject long. But then she asked me, she said, "Well, Candy, how have you been doing? Like, I know you've been dealing with a lot. What's going on? I know you recently, released the book, everything with the book." And so I told her, I said, everything went well, and the book is doing very well. People love it. People have really been connected with the story, and some people have even found themselves inside of it. And so she asked again, how are you doing? And I don't know what happened, best friends, but I think in that moment I probably just needed to talk. I just needed somebody to confide in. And so if you guys remember the video that I did a couple of days ago, remember I said I talked to a friend, and my friend was telling me that I'm not healed, and my friend was pretty much putting a mirror in my face. She was the friend that I was talking about. And so when she asked me how I was doing, and I just started to just talk, she was open and she was listening, but she was saying, "Yeah, you really have some healing to do." And so it was one of those situations, best friends, where I had to sit with what she said. And it's very similar to what I used to hear when I was a kid. My mom used to always say stuff like, if two or more people tell you the same thing, there may be some truth in it. And so I had literally heard that same thing twice from two different people who didn't know each other and didn't talk. And so I had to sit and I had to process that. And in the midst of me sitting and processing that, I had a bunch of emotions. But the conversation went well. We literally talked from the time that she was sitting at her gate until the plane was getting ready to move, and it was leaving, where she was. And so the conversation started well, it went well, it ended well. There's no, continuation. We didn't end the conversation by saying, "Hey, let's get together," or anything. I think for me, there's a mutual understanding, and I can't speak for her, of course, but I think there's a mutual understanding that now is just not a good time to really start to unpack things. She's still healing from everything that she's experienced over the past several months, and I'm still healing from everything that I've experienced over the past year or so. And so it's just it was a good conversation, and it was a much needed conversation. But I just found it interesting that sometimes God will use the person that you didn't expect to deliver the message that you had to hear when you had to hear it. And I would argue that there probably were other people that was trying to tell me what she said, but because of our history, I had to hear it from her. I had to hear it from her, and I didn't even know that. So I don't know. I sat with very, very, very little to say after that conversation. All I could do was just process, best friends. I think the comments are stuck for me. I think my comments are stuck. But you guys are sitting pretty quiet. I'm trying to bring them back up to see if I missed any comments. Hold on, best friends. Hold on. But if you guys have any questions, I don't know. Oh, now I'm starting to see. Auntie Fee said, "I pretty much felt like she was that friend." Yeah, she was. But it's interesting how, like I said, it's very, very interesting how God will use the person who you least likely expect to deliver the message that you have to hear, And so, it's one of those situations where, we're both going through a lot. and periodically we'll check in just to encourage each other to say, hey, you got this, you know. But yeah, it's interesting, you know. Of course, nobody knows what the future is going to hold, and of course, that's not something that I'm exploring at this point. But I did feel like the conversation was very, very valuable, very, very valuable. Um, but let me know in the comments, best friends, if you guys. Oh, Jamie said my live chat comments are stuck as well. The video keeps buffering. Yeah, it's doing that on my end too. It's kind of weird. I don't know. Um, so I may have to unpin the comment. Let me know if I. Let me see if that helps. If I unpin the comment, let me see if I'm able to see more. I'm not sure. Deanna said hers are good. Hold on, let me try it from this way. Unpin. Okay. I'm not sure. They're still stuck for me. But it looks like everybody, for the most part, everybody's quiet on all platforms. Do you guys have any questions for me? Any questions as it relates to this topic? Any questions about anything as it relates to this topic? Angela said it's good. Hey, King Kenneth, it's good to see you. Good to see you, brother. So good to see you. But yeah, looks like you guys are pretty quiet. But I definitely just wanted to share that with you guys. I have been in the bed. When I say I've been in the bed, I have been in the bed, best friends, for the past day fighting this cold. The cold started with Kennedy, and then she had it for about 2 days. And then after that, she passed it to Caleb, and he was sick for about a day and a half. And then yesterday, I started to kind of go down a rabbit hole. So I was in the bed pretty much most of the day. LaShawn said, one step, trust God, and you will be successful. She said, how do you feel? Hold on just a second. Dang. LaShawn, do me a favor. Well, let me see. Oh, it says, how do you feel after hearing that and what you sat in? How do I feel after hearing that? At first it was tough to hear. You know what I mean? Like, best friends, you gotta put yourself in the shoes of the person who's hearing you're unhealed. You need to heal. That's a tough pill to swallow. You know, the first thing that the human nature, the human reaction would be is to suggest or to say, no, I'm good. You know, I'm all right, because nobody wants to be seen as weak, or underdeveloped or undeveloped or any of these things, right? But we're all in need of self-development in some areas of our lives. Some people's areas of opportunity are just more visible than others. But we all have those areas that we need to work on, right? And so she told me from the beginning of the conversation, when we changed topics to that, she told me, she said, I'm gonna say something to you and it's gonna be hard to swallow. But she said it from a place of love. She's like, I'm literally just coming from a place of love. There's things that I see based on what you're saying that would suggest that you're not healed. You think you are, but there's areas of the situation that you're not over, you're not healed. And so it was tough to hear, right? But at the same time, it was necessary. And if I can be honest, I don't know if it's an Aries trait. I don't know if it's just because, you know, I have masculine energy. I don't know. But I'm not the type of person where anybody can correct me. And so it's only a handful of people that can correct me. And right, wrong, or indifferent, she's always been a part of the handful of people that can correct me. You know, and so it's like, it's my grandmothers, both of my grandmothers. It is my godmother, a couple of my aunts, my mom, and then, you know, she's in the mix. There's only a couple of people who can pretty much say, hey, look, This is you. You see what I'm saying? I don't take that from a lot of people. And so she did it, and she did it in love, and I received it. And so, that's the thing about when you have a relationship, friendship, whatever, with somebody that you trust, then you know and understand that there could be some truth in what's said, right? There could be something that, that person is seeing in you that you're not seeing in yourself. And so I had to sit with that because, like I said, the human response was to just be like, "No, nah, that's not true," because you always want to be seen as if you got it all together. That's what social media creates all the time. That's what goes viral. People looking like they got it all together. You see what I'm saying? And they don't. And so that's the difference between, me and a lot of other people. So it hurt. It hurt in the beginning. But it's something that I had to work through and process. Um, Let me see. Um, Deanna said, "Are you still in love with T? Hopefully, I'm not crossing boundaries." You're not crossing boundaries. I think I will always love her. I don't think there's ever going to be a day where there's breath in my body and I don't. Um, but I think the question is, what do you do with that? What do we do with that, right? If the reality is I'm in a whole, you know, mess of a situation. I'm a fragment of who I once was. I'm working to rebuild myself. I'm working to rebuild all aspects of myself and come out of this thing a better version of who I am moving forward, right? To have these emotions that were always there and probably always will be, I don't know. I don't know what we would do with that. So, it's one of those situations where, yeah, the feelings are there, but I'm not in a position to be able to do anything with it, right? So that's where I am with it. Um, Jamie said you did say that you guys were sick. How's everybody feeling? Well, the kids are 9, so they bounced back, and I'm the one, kind of just still trying to get myself back together. Now, I would say I feel a lot better now than I did earlier today, but I should probably be good tomorrow, and if not tomorrow, then definitely by Wednesday. But thank you for asking. Auntie Fee, yes, I've been taking a whole lot of stuff for this cold. Um, Miss Cheryl said, "How do you think Sean feels about you communicating with T?" Sean knows everything. Sean knows. I'm not 100% sure how she feels about it. Well, I take that back. We've had conversations. Sean knows everything. Um, and I would think, obviously it might be something that kind of bothers her, but she hasn't expressed that to me. But this is a part of the dangerous spot that I'm in, right? For the past almost year, Sean and I have been going through our own thing where we're going in two separate directions. So it's one of those situations where we have to consider each other for the sake of the kids and for the sake of living under the same roof, but not all at the same time. So I know some of how Sean's feeling, but not 100% about how Sean is feeling, if that makes sense. One of the things to keep in mind is that I'm not dating anybody. We've not gone out. We're not seeing, so there's not a whole lot of substance there outside of phone conversations. And the boundaries have been set, right? Again, both parties are healing from very traumatic experiences. So with all that being said, outside of the periodic check-in, are you okay? How are you doing, etc. There's not a lot of meat and potatoes there, if that makes sense. Um, so Dana said, "Do you think some of your hurt with her truth comes from your fear of not knowing when you will really heal from this?" I don't know how long it's gonna take me to heal. In true transparency, Um, I don't know if that's the source of my hurt, Dana. I think the source of my hurt is, you know, just like I said, you know, we as humans like to believe that we got it all together. And I've always been a strong person. I was a strong person in my family. I've always been the person that everybody called. I've always been the one who had it all together. I was always the one that had and not the one that didn't have. I was the lender, not the borrower. You see what I'm saying? So in all aspects, I've always been that person. And for me to now be in a position where life has life, right? And now I'm in a position where I'm seemingly weak in some areas. It was a hard pill to swallow. So I don't necessarily equate it to me not necessarily knowing how long it's going to take me to completely heal from this situation. I think it was me realizing that I don't have a cape on, right? That you know I don't have superpowers. That you know I don't have it all together. And so, as much as I thought that I did, it's that mirror in my face to say, you know, hey, like you don't have it all together. You got some work that you need to do. You know, which is fine because we all do. But yeah, I think that's what it was for me. I think that's what it was for me. And you know, I've been going through all of this for over a year. And you know, some people would suggest that that's enough time to heal. Um, but I don't know, right? Like it just depends. Everybody's grieving process is different. And this grieving process, and I refer to it as a grieving process, because my therapist also referred to it as a grieving process. But this journey with Sean and I is very similar to a death. Like when you're leaving a relationship that long, is very similar to a death. And so, with all that being said, you go through different stages. And sometimes, when you're at one stage, like remember last week I was at the anger stage. When you're at some stages, sometimes things will happen to pull you back, you know, a stage or two. So, it's a journey. I don't know. It's a journey. Kristen said, "What if you find love? What if you find love before Sean? Do you think it would drastically change you guys' relationship?" I mean, I think it could, right? Um, I think it could, best friend. I mean, but that's the risk. That's the risk that you take, right? She very easily could find love before me. You know, you never know. Because what I have experienced is sometimes it's the person, and not to suggest, please don't take this from what I'm saying, but not to suggest that I'm looking, but sometimes it's the person who is really legit not looking, not open to anything, that it, you know, love will find you first. I don't know, right? So it could very easily be her that finds love first. But either way it goes, even if it is her or even whenever it happens, because it's gonna happen at some point in time, I wish her the best. I want her happiness more than anything in the world. And when I told you guys what I did and the conversation that I had with her and the conversations that I've had with Sean's family, is I told you guys my from the moment that I asked for her hand in marriage, I said if I cannot love her the way she deserves to be loved, if I cannot continue to give her what she deserves to receive, I will return her back to you as a family the same way that I got her. And that was my promise years ago, and it's still my promise. It's still my promise. And so with all that being said, I can't then say, hey, I can't love you. I'm not willing to continue in a romantic capacity, but then I want to stifle you from experiencing this outside of me. You can't have your cake and eat it too. It don't work like that. That's not love, and that's very selfish. And so that's not a reflection of how I feel. I feel like Sean deserves love. I want love for her, but I want her to experience that when she's ready. And the same is true for me, right? I have to experience it when I'm ready. Now, here's the irony about this situation with Tamia. We've been in and out of each other's lives so many times because there's a long history of friendship. I sometimes believe, and this is the lesson that I want you guys to walk away with as it relates to this story tonight. I sometimes believe that God will put people back into your life. He'll put you back into the same situation that you failed at in an attempt to allow you to make a different choice, right? Case in point, you guys know what happened the very first time. You know what happened the second time we tried. So this third time we have an opportunity to reconnect. We have an opportunity to genuinely figure out before we talk about anything else, can we even be friends, right? Can we even be friends? So if you compare a journey, like a relationship journey, whether it's romantic or otherwise, if you compare it to school, I can't jump in and say, hey, let's start ninth grade math and it's day one of school. Like, no, you got to go through kindergarten first grade, second grade, and so forth. You got to build on that thing. And I think that's one of the things that her and I did wrong all the times in the past. The chemistry was so strong, we started skipping steps and doing stuff out of order, and it didn't work out, right? And so God will give you do-overs sometimes to see if you learn the lesson. And so it's one of those situations, best friends, where I can't keep going through the same situation. We can't keep going through the same situation and not have some sort of takeaway from it. We got to learn. And so with all that being said, our chemistry is extremely strong, but our self-awareness has to be as well. My self-awareness is as well. You see what I'm saying? And so me knowing that I'm not in a position to offer her or anybody else romantically what they deserve, I have to be self-aware enough to know that. And I'd rather be self-aware right now versus going down a rabbit hole and creating a mess that I regret and have to clean up that's worse than where I am now. So that's what that is. Best friend said, do you feel like you and T could become a pattern like you and Sean? No, no. Not a pattern. Not a pattern. I don't know what we could become. The only thing that I do know is that in this season, the only thing that we could build is friendship because neither of us have the capacity for anything else. It would be too dangerous. We don't have the capacity for anything else. But a pattern, no, no. I don't necessarily think it was a pattern with Sean and I either. But no. Best friend on IG said, this healing process that you are going through is deep on a spiritual level. It's teaching me a lot. Thank you. You're absolutely welcome. You're absolutely welcome. And thank you for bringing up the spiritual piece of it. That's another thing, right? That's another thing. There's a spiritual calling on my life, and I'm still exploring what that looks like. I'm still working to explore what that looks like and what that consists of. So that's another thing about a relationship, right? So a relationship with me years ago is different than the person that will find me today and moving forward. And so what I'm looking for and what I'm expecting and what the other person would be looking for and expecting is different. And so I have to be very, very, very intentional about who I connect with and who I build with and all of that. And likewise for them as well. And so the dating process for me would look much different in the seasons moving forward than they ever did in the past. Because what I'm looking for has to have more substance and depth than anything that I've ever done in the past. You guys got to remember when I dated years ago, I was in my 20s, right? So there's so much more at stake now. So it's not the same. It's not the same. So, yeah. Anybody else have any other questions or comments at all? Let me know, best friends, if you guys got anything else. But this is a good conversation. It's definitely a good conversation. And you'll find that no situation is perfect, right? But I made a vow to be completely transparent with you guys and share every aspect of the journey, every single aspect. So, and then this is one of the aspects. So, Miss Cheryl said, absolutely, this is just life. It is. It really, really is. It really is. So, yeah, I don't know. But anyway, best friends, you guys seem very Miss Connie said I'm gonna do the replay. Why the replay, Miss Connie? We live. Um Vending said, do you know what you need to be healed from? If so, do you mind sharing? Um Vending, did you grab the books? I guess my follow-up question would be, do you have the books? Um because your question would have been answered inside of the most recent book. So your question would have been answered inside of the most recent book. Um, hey, best friend. One question is, has T told you how she currently feels about you? No, no, no. We have not had that conversation. Um, we have not. That's not a conversation that we've had because it opens Pandora's box, right? So the conversation has been very much so, hey, how are you? What's going on? She knows and understands what I'm going through. I know and understand what she's going through. We've been checking in on each other periodically. Again, nobody's trying to set up a routine. This is not a conversation that we have every day. This is not a conversation that we have once a week. It's just whenever the conversation is whenever the conversation is. But it's, hey, how are you? How's everything going? What's going on? Do you need anything? Are you okay? How are the kids? How's your journey, etc. And so it's very much so that. And, we'll talk about maybe some mutual friends. Hey, have you talked to such and such? Did you see that such and such that we went to school with is having a baby? Such and such got married, very whatever. And then for the most part, that's it. Um, but yeah, we have not had those conversations. Do I feel like that will be a necessary conversation? At one point, it will be. At some point, it may be. It may be, right? If by the time I'm healed from everything, if she's in a relationship or if I meet somebody else and it just don't happen, then it wasn't meant to be. But one of the things that this season has taught me is you can't you can't force God's timing. God's timing is God's timing, right? And so whatever is supposed to happen, it's almost like that old song, what God has for me is for me. And so I literally believe that with my whole heart. And if something is for me, then I don't have to rush the process. I don't have to have these conversations to see, do I still have you? Don't I have you? Any of these different things. I don't have to do that. And so with that being said, we just, it hasn't come up. It hasn't come up. I think there's an unspoken thing where she knows that I love her, and I know that I'm pretty confident that she loves me. But again, like I said at the beginning of the video, what are we to do with that, right? What are we to do with that? Because we both know and understand now is absolutely not the time. It's just not the time. Um, and so, out of everything that life has handed both of us, we may not have made the best choices in the beginning when we were young and in our 20s or early 30s. We may not have made the best choices then, but we both equally deserve a clean break and, a happy ending, a happy love story. And the only way you can get there is if you start off the same way you want it to end. And so, with that being said, that's that. Um, Patricia asked a good question. She said, "Did Sean have a reaction to your August video?" She did. She did. She was okay with how I felt. She just didn't like the fact that I mentioned other people. So she didn't like the fact that I mentioned other people. So yeah, that was her only response to my August video. Yeah. So um oh, best friends, my sinuses cold, whatever is going on. Uh-oh, now my comments are really acting up. What is going on with this internet connection today? Um, Keisha said, "Do you think your fasting and praying is helping you through this process?" When I'll say yes. The long and short is yes. So I'm not fasting right now, girl. Look at me, girl. I'm not fasting right now. But I will say this. Um, I will say this, best friend. When we did the consecration is what was the mirror in my face and in Sean's face as it relates to how we were operating in our relationship. It was the consecration that gave us all the answers that we knew and kept running from. Um, we had made decisions prior to the consecration, but the consecration was the nail in the coffin. We had been made those decisions, but it was that process that solidified. Yeah, even outside of what you want and what I want, this is essentially what God is saying in this season. Best friend said, "Okay, I understand your answer totally. I had a similar relationship with someone that lasted over 15 years. We just couldn't make it work. With my current wife, we dated prior, and I broke her heart. I can't see the rest. I'm literally, best friends, trying to get back into the doggone book of faces. I'm trying to get back into the comments. I'm trying to get back into the comments to read what you guys are saying. I'm trying to read it. I don't know what's going on with my internet. It's saying no internet. Let me see if I can connect again real quick. I'm sorry for the delay, best friends. Okay, let me see if this will work. I think we might be cooking with Grace. Hold on, y'all. Mm, mm, mm. Um, okay, so back to what best friend was saying. She said, okay, I understand your answer totally. I had a similar relationship with someone that was over 15 years, and we just couldn't make it work. But my current wife, we dated prior, and I broke her heart because I felt she didn't understand my needs. Now we fast forward, married, and with a child. Sometimes you have to be apart to grow completely and heal both. Yeah, that's intense. That's intense. Yep, that was definitely intense. Thank you for sharing. Miss Diane said, "Do you think it's best to date an old flame or start a new relationship when you start dating?" I think there's pros and cons to both. Um, one of the things that I would say, and of course, Tamia and I have not had the space or opportunity to really fully explore, um, like who we are now. But I know for me, all I can do is speak for me. I'm not who I was when we dated before. I'm more mature, um, and I'm more in tune with who I am and what I'm looking for, if I can be honest. And so I think there are pros and cons to both. I've seen a lot of people date somebody from their past, get back together, get married. There's a couple that I know that actually lived here in town, and it was a friend of mine. It was his parents. So his parents divorced when he and his sister were young, and all throughout their childhood, their parents, were separated. And so then, probably about 10 years ago or so, his parents remarried, and of course, they're living happily ever after. So you hear those kind of stories where people, will date in the past or date when they're younger and then get back together. It totally depends on the people. Some people say once I'm done and I never go back. And that used to be my philosophy. But if I can be honest with you guys, my relationship with Tamia is kind of like that outlier. It's the one thing that don't fit the mold that I had, because there was never an opportunity where we had the space to fully all out explore what it is between us. And so because we didn't have the space to fully explore. We have an idea of what we could be, but we were never 100% sure. And so I can't say with absolute certainty, before a year from now or 6 months from now or whatever, get on a day nap and start looking at other people. I can't say that I truly would be willing to close a door because I haven't fully had the opportunity to walk through that door. And so for me, um, again, I don't know where she's going to be or what the future holds, right? Because she might be in a relationship at that time. I don't know. But I can't say that I would be willing to explore something completely new with somebody that I don't know yet until I fully know what could be between her and I. So if the opportunity presented itself once I am healed and once she is healed, if the opportunity presented itself, then I absolutely would want to see what could be between her and I first before I ever consider anything outside of her. And that's just my God honest truth. So, yeah. But had it been anybody else best friend, so Diane, the second part of what I was going to say as a response to your question, had it been anybody else, there wouldn't be anything to explore. Because with that being said, I'm also the same person. Again, it's probably an Aries trait, I don't know. But I'm also the same person that I exhaust all options before making the decision to leave a relationship. When I make a decision to leave a relationship, it's only because I was left with no other choice. I gave it everything that I had to the point where if I stayed in the relationship, I would start to lose myself. I give chance after chance after chance after chance. And so with all of my other relationships, again, outside of Tamia, with all my other relationships, Nicole, Sean, everybody else that I dated, I literally stayed until I had nothing else to give, until I was completely depleted. And so that's when I made the decision to leave. Right, wrong, or indifferent, because I'm the kind of person when I move on and I finally walk away, I want to do it with a clear conscience and know that there was nothing else I could have done to make it work. I gave it my all. So, Miss Beverly said, my father-in-law left my mother-in-law when she was pregnant. He married someone else, and 21 years later, they got back together and was married until he passed. So it can and cannot work. It's hard to say. Exactly, exactly. Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of similar to what happened with my friend's dad and his mom. So y'all might throw fruit at me when I say that. I be thinking when guys do that and they leave when the kids are real little, or when they leave when she pregnant but then come back after the kids grown, did you just not want the responsibility of raising these kids with me or what? I don't know, right? Like I don't know, cause that if it was me, that's what I would ask. I'd be like, oh, so you just didn't want to raise these doggone kids or what? So yeah. So best friend says sometimes you just have a connection with a person. So I understand your mixed emotions. Best friend said, with the new calling on your life, would you go after love or God? You can go. Well, God is love for me, right? God is love, and God is going to point you in the direction of where you should go. And that's another reason why I keep telling you guys, I'm not chasing anything. I'm allowing everything to just happen as it is, right? And so, um, that's how I look at the situation, but everybody's gonna be different, right? And so I think for me, my calling is not ministry in the way that you guys think, right? I think a lot of people see me and you've seen me in different capacities, even blessings and breakthroughs. And a lot of people thought, okay, well, maybe, Candy will be a minister, or maybe she'll preach, or maybe she'll do this and do that. For me, I see myself in the capacity of doing like events, more motivational speaking, if anything. I don't see myself in a capacity like that, because I think, again, I submit to God, so whatever God says, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of restriction. And when we start putting titles and labels on ourselves, then people start having expectations of you living and operating a certain way. And I'm just an imperfect person just trying to figure it out, just like you guys. And I don't want to put myself out there as something, and then you guys have these expectations of me, or people, not just you, best friends, but just people in general, have these expectations of me, and then I don't fulfill those expectations. I don't want to be the stumbling block that keeps somebody from having a closer relationship with God. If I can bring you to Him, great. But I don't want to be held accountable for why you be like, okay, I see, you were saying this one day and then you doing this another day. I'm just out here trying to figure it out, just like you. That's it. You see what I'm saying? Which is why I told you guys I'm trying to create a team of people who will help me in the areas that I need improving on. And I told you guys, I said I'm gonna invite a couple of you guys to join me on that journey, but offline. But I mean, it's one of those things where I literally, I'm not a pastor. Like, let me be clear. I'm not a pastor. I'm not going to be a pastor. That's not what this is at all. So yeah. Um, um, Best friend said, "Where's your brother?" So he moved. Um, he moved. He's living with my aunt now. I think, Miss Rhonda, you must have missed a few videos, because that was probably the beginning of the month, something like that. But he moved. But they're going out of town, so he's gonna be here for about 9 or 10 days. So he'll actually be back in the house for about 9 or 10 days. He'll be here at the end of this week. So yeah, so that's that. That's that, best friend. But yes, thank you very, very much for your question. I don't see any other questions, best friends. I don't see any other questions. I appreciate you guys joining me on this conversation. Um, you guys were a little bit more quiet on this conversation than normal. And so I don't know what that means. I think you guys may have been processing, maybe just sitting back listening. Maybe you agree, maybe you disagree, maybe you kind of on the fence and trying to figure it out. But that's the transparent part of the journey, right? Um, I told you guys I was going to document all of it, and I told you I was going to share as much as I possibly could with you guys. I do need to go because I feel myself getting a little, winded as it relates to me fighting this cold. I think it's time for me to take some more cold medicine. I'm gonna take some more cold medicine, drink some more orange juice, and probably get into bed because I have a very, very, very busy day tomorrow. But Miss Kia said I'm taking it all in, learning as I watch. Thank you very, very much. I greatly appreciate you, best friend. But I love you guys. As I always tell you, I love you. When you see me, don't see perfection, because you're going to be disappointed every time. I'm not perfect. I'm literally just trying to figure it out. I'm trying to figure it out. And I'm going to make mistakes along the way. And I'm going to do some things that you agree with. And I'm going to do some things that you disagree with. But just like good friends in real life, you stick with me. You stay with me. If I do something you disagree with, pray for me. And then let's love on each other and keep it moving. But as I always tell you guys, the absolute best is yet to come. But baby, we got work to do. See you tomorrow.